sure it is selfish because this is my one and only life, and I will be the one bringing another life into it. I've already done it one time, and it's been very challenging and fulfilling, and I feel completed, and my family feels complete. So sorry that I made a selfish decision to not do that again.
Join me, Sasha Pieterse, on Women in the Nude, Season 2, where we bear it all, except for our bodies. Leave that to your imagination. Welcome to Women in the Nude, where we expose everything, except for our bodies. Leave that to your imagination. Hi, Erin.
Hello, Sasha.
Hey, Erin Rhodes here with me.
Huh?
And you're usually the one that interviews me.
I know this is so weird. This is bizarre, but I'm comfortable. You've made me feel at ease so far.
I really appreciate that. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for coming on the show.
Likewise, it's an honor, truly.
So Erin interviews me for E-News.
Yeah.
But you've been working with them for a long time.
This is my 10th year. It's so weird. I'm like, I'm going to have to be working with
You know, old enough to be working there. Because absolutely not. Or to have a 3-year-old.
Honestly, when I look at my child who's 3 years old, I say to myself, how are you this big? I'm not old enough to have a child restful this big.
Is also how I feel. For sure. A beautiful blur.
It really is. It goes by so fast. They are not lying when they say cliche things like, it goes by in a blink. And you're like, yeah, whatever. Like every day feels like 2 years have passed.
No, yeah, you look back. And it is true. That is an annoying truth. But yeah, I mean, it's cool to have you here and kind of go full circle in that way. So I do really appreciate it. But right before we started recording, we were talking about how we're gonna school our kids and like the pros and cons to homeschool or not, and all of those things. But
there's so many different options and ways to do it. And of course, I see things on Instagram where it's like 96% of children are born genius, and then they go to school and they're educated. It's like kids should be learning in different ways, and there's so many alternative methods. And of course, it's all controversial. And things that I say right now, people will be ripping at your
civic opinions, feelings.
Yeah, and I go back and forth all the time with my husband. We don't know what the right answer is. We both grew up with public school education, and we both thrived and had very great positive experiences. I think it helped equip us for the world. Yeah, having our public school education, and we're able to see all different types of people come in and out of our schools. He grew up in Washington State, and I grew up here in LA. And now when we have our own kid, we look at everything so differently. Like, we got to make sure she's in the best case scenario. And when it comes to all of the requirements before you even head into school, whether it's vaccinations or different training, your kid has to be fully potty trained.
Yeah, we can start there for sure. Dude, potty training sucks.
It seriously
sucks.
Out of all of the stages, like, I wasn't a big fan of the like newborn phase, like the sleep deprivation and everything, and the postpartum depression that came with that. And then potty training it.
You're like, whoa.
The book's a lot. They're like, you can make it so much fun. Sticker chart. This book will help them. This book will help me.
Potty book.
They're like 3 days. They're like,
yes,
3 days.
Yes, the cold turkey. We tried that.
Lies.
We did try the cold turkey thing. The pantsless. If you don't know what that is, it's just no diaper, no pants, no anything. Just 3 days of just naked baby, putting it on the potty every however minutes.
And shit on the floor. Do we see that?
Yeah. Oh yeah, we can't. Absolutely. So much shit on the floor. It's ridiculous. And you know what? At first they were like, hey, showing interest in the potty. Like, I think this is the right time. We're just going to go for it. He was not ready. Bad idea. We were like, this is traumatizing and this is not the memory that we want. So we waited about 6 more months. And I think he was like a couple months before 4. And we're like, okay, we're going to try this again. And we are in the same position that we are in then. Like, the 3-day thing did not work. If he does not have a diaper on at home, he will, I would say 85% of the time, just get up and go on the potty himself. That other, like, that missing percentage is, everything in our house is waterproof right now. We have covers on our chairs. On our chairs, covers on our couch. Like, Yeah, the floor has been pooped on and feed on for sure.
What I don't understand is why we are putting these requirements on kids where it's like they can't enter this schooling or this daycare until they're potty trained, which is usually around like the 3-year-old mark.
Right.
Maybe even a little before that they're pushing for. And it's so clear that they're not cognitively ready for this.
And some kids are, but most kids are.
Some kids are. Yeah, some kids are truly just ready for it. And maybe they see an older sibling and they got it down. That was not my daughter. But I read the books and I talked to friends. They're like, yeah, we did it 3 days. No, every kid is actually different. And we did the thing where she's showing interest, and day 1 went awesome. Peed, poop, all of the things the first day.
Wow.
Day 2,
Beautiful.
no, we don't want to do it. We've lost interest. We're bored. And we did the weird 3-day thing where no one gets TV or phone or anything. And the parents, we have to be like,
So on every 5 minutes, any cue,
let's go to the potty. Let's do that. And so we were all miserable together for those 3 days. It didn't work. And then after like a month of trying, our doctor even said, go back to diapers. She's just not ready. And it's no sign of intellect. It's no sign of developmental readiness. It's truly a personality thing. It's just like, just go back to diapers.
well, I mean, it's so much easier to like put on a diaper and be able to pee whenever you want to and have somebody else clean you. It's like,
Right.
and they say that's why like boys in particular are just lazy. It's not that they don't want to or that they can't. It's that they just, why would I when I could just do this?
Right?
And so he had been in the like training pants
Yeah. Same.
for like 2 years.
And I know, fight, no shade or no shame in that. Like, no, were saying to me, it's the best thing when you get rid of diapers. I'm like, guys, no, diapers are the best thing because we could just go at any point and then go to the bathroom and change it. We don't have to deal with shitty underwear in public and like the toilet and the germs and the touching of everything when we're first learning what the potty is in public. It isn't.
So my husband also has this like he's still now. I tell him, I'm like, this is a misconception that once you've potty trained, everything's going to be fine. I was like, because then we move on to the middle of the night pee accidents, where in the middle of the night, I peed in bed, and then you have to strip all the things down and wash his favorite blanket and do all. I was like, it's not peeing in like in the car seat, peeing in like this does not end when we travel on flights. And we don't have a diaper. That's good. It's not.
Yeah. Oh,
Weirdly, we do so many road trips, and weirdly, he's great with potty training on road trips. When not in his diaper, he'll go on the potty like in some random gas station where it padded everything so he doesn't touch anything. He'll do that, but at home or like regular outings,
there's this comfortability. Yeah. I know. I'm trying to embrace it and not force the issue anymore. I was eye-rolling for a hot second, and now I'll just say to her, "Do you want to poop in your diaper?"
yeah, he has this like mental block when it comes to it. But again, it depends. A mental block when it comes to pooping. Yeah, like peeing is much easier. Pooping is like, and I get it. He's like, why? I could just like squat and like walk around and like do my thing until I'm ready. And like, the constant battle. I feel like 90% of parenting is actually about your own willpower.
Oh,
More than them. Like, yeah, do you have the patience for, or like the willpower to stop what you're doing every 30 minutes and fight with them to go on the potty? Like, do you have the, it's all you more than it is them.
Yeah, and I'm weak. I am an enabler, and it is not good. And honestly, I think once my husband and I decide, okay, this will be the weekend where we really crack down, and we both have to for a bit because we get stopped. We get stopped. Yeah. But I don't know about you, but we're in this stage or this mindset that it's one and done for us.
Here, one and done.
Yeah.
Great.
Like the setting hasn't happened. It's okay. And I need that to happen. Yeah. Okay. We're talking about it though. Yeah. And we are aligned that one and done. As right now, that's where we're at. And so I'm kind of like, I'm not going to rush the process. Even as exhausting as it's been, and as much as I want her to be fully trained in all of these things, I really was trying to rush through a lot of the newborn infancy stuff. And looking back, I'm like, wow, I should have appreciated those sleepless nights, or I should have not been such a moaning, groaning bitch. Because it was so fast bleeding. And now I'm kind of looking at it like that, where okay, there's going to be a time when she's not doing this anymore. So whatever, let's just hang on for this ride.
You know, I mean, I feel like, again, everybody says this, right? Like, that's so hard. There's a reason sleep deprivation is a punishment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, it's one of those things where, yes, there are moments to savor. And I think what gets me right now is the like, no, I want to read one more book. And me being like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, it's too late. And then in my head, I'm like, one day he's not going to ask me to do that anymore. I am those little games. Yeah. And then we'll read, you know, 3 more books after that.
Oh, yeah.
So it's trying to, I think, balance the like what's reasonable and yet isn't. I feel like we do punish ourselves for those little things, but I do think about that all the time. Like, okay, we're not having another one. This could be the last day that he does this. Like, all of those little moments. But I highly recommend the sniff.
Okay.
Have we talked about everybody?
Not like publicly.
I'm sure I have. Yeah, it's not a secret.
So did it take convincing on your end, or were you both were like, yes, this is what we're going to, did he go make the appointment, or did you already drag him to it?
Actually, yeah. So there's a couple layers to this. We always thought we were going to have more than one. Like, it was always like, I'm the only child. He's one of 9.
So this was before Hendrix. You thought we're going to have
Before Hendrix, we were like, we're going to have more than one. Definitely not 9, but you know, we at least 2 was our, not more than 4, but 2. And I think Hendrix was around 6 months where I started really feeling like, I think if he does with 1. And I was like, I know a lot of people say that. So obviously I'm going to give it time, but I didn't want to mention it to Hudson yet because I know that he wanted more than 1. And I was just kind of like trying to process that feeling by myself just in case. And little did I know he was doing the same thing where he was like, I think I'm good with just 1, but I don't want to make that decision. I know she wanted 1. So we were kind of playing this game to each other. And so I don't remember who said it first, but whoever finally revealed that, the other was like, oh, I'm so relieved. And we both sat on it for a while. We were like, let's give it like a year to see if we change our minds. Like, no rush necessarily. Friends of ours were on to their 2nd or their 3rd, and we love babies. And Hendrix, it was honestly a saint of a human, like a saint of a baby. Like it was not because he was too difficult or any of those reasons. It was just kind of like, what would be the reason to have a 2nd? We were trying to evaluate that. Like, not that there are any cons, but like, you know, pros and cons as far as like, look, things will change. They inevitably change for, you know, it doesn't mean that it's bad. Like, it's not, there's no right or wrong. I feel like, things will change. Traveling will be different. Schooling will be different. You know, quality time will be different. Inevitably, your firstborn will not get the same attention. It doesn't mean that that's not okay. And of course, they'll have a sibling, but like dynamics shift. And is that something that you want? And if it is, great. If it's not, then no. And I think a lot of people feel like they have to have a 2nd, or it's like, I have a boy or I have a girl, I need to try for another. And it's this like glamorized idea almost. Or people are telling you need to have another. You feel like it's like the next step in life. And that's totally okay if it's what you want. I mean, I feel like more people have more than 1 than not. But we were just like, you know, this is it. And I think it's also one of those things where like, now that we've made this decision, we didn't want the oopsie.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, this is what we're planning for. Technically, we could reverse it if we do change our minds. The older you get, the less successful that reversal is. Not older, it's just by years you instant. And so, you know, it's one of those things where you want to make that decision sooner than later if you're going to change your mind. But we were just like, this is it. Okay. He booked the appointment. And I think so many of his friends were like, he's kind of like the guinea pig. Like, how bad is it really? And he used to I think he made fun of his brother for this, actually, for being like such a wuss about it. Like, don't be so ridiculous. Like, look what they go through. It's like the and all the things that they do, right? Like 2 weeks with some peas on your bottle, like not that big of a deal. And I think like overall, he was, I would say, uncomfortable for a month. I think like a week and a half was like painful.
Okay.
Overall, and then like a month by the time a month came around, it was totally fine.
And feel like emasculated in any way.
No, it still works just as great as it did before, ladies and gentlemen.
Great.
The thing though, the accident, like people have like accidents or whatever.
What?
Like they got snits and then all of a sudden there's a surprise baby.
No.
So he asked his doctor about that. So he was like, how do we know? And his doctor was like, look, there's a tiny % chance that I might do something wrong, because like the reason that those accidental babies happen is because the guys don't come in for their return appointments. You go in at a month, 2 months, I think, or 3 months, and 6 months to make sure that there's no little players in there. Yeah. And often people come in for their month checkup, maybe their third month, but they don't go back to the next one. And that's how those whoopsies happen. Or even if it's in the first month, they like have sex when they're not supposed to.
Oh my God.
Not supposed to, with unprotected. And
wow.
Sure enough. So I think it's a follow the rules game.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'm gonna be reporting all this information.
But it's like, look, it's so much better. It's so there's nothing to worry about. It mentally it feels so much better.
Yeah. And I'm like, hello, 9 months and this baby was delivered unmedicated. You can handle this.
You can definitely, take one for the team.
Yeah. But it's really comforting to hear you say everything that you said as far as being one and done.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've, told people after I said that publicly, and people made me feel so bad about it. Okay? Like, a man had the audacity once to tell me that was selfish. And I said, that's the next compliment. Sure, it is selfish because this is my one and only life, and I will be the one bringing another life into it. I've already done it one time, and it's been very challenging and fulfilling, and I feel completed, and my family feels complete. So sorry that I made a selfish decision to not do that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy the explaining that we have to do, or not even have to do. We don't have to explain anything. But the societal pressure that people put on you, and it's like, hi, brought one into the world. Is that not enough for you guys to lay off with these questions?
Yeah, damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you don't have a kid, you bet people give you shit. If you do have a kid, people give you shit. If you have more than one kid, then it's like, I cannot believe you're not giving your kids more attention. It's like will never be perfect in like societies. Nice. And yeah, I have gotten as well a lot of shit for the one and done situation. Most of the time it's like a selfish thing, or ironically the other one is, well, who's gonna be there when you die, first thing.
Yeah, that's the number one thing.
And for your kid or whatever. And I'm like, well, if we've done our jobs correctly, they will have chosen family. They will hopefully, if they choose to, have a partner and maybe a family of their own. Like your reason for having more than one kid shouldn't be like, my kid might be completely alone one day as a full-grown adult, and that's why I'm gonna bring another kid into the world.
Yeah.
Or like it's just kind of all a little bit silly.
I know. Yeah, people kind of look at us like, well, you're the vehicle for making life, so that's all you should do with your life.
Right. Yes. And just, you would think that it would be like either no real opinion at all, or more just like a very responsible decision. You feel like this is what you want and it's complete and you're happy with your situation. You're making a very clear, great decision for your family. You want to expand, you can. Actually, here's a question, because I asked this of friends a lot who have decided not to have kids and then change their minds. They get shit for changing their minds. Like, see, I told you. And more you see it. And so I feel like that happens to friends who have been like, for one and done. And then they're like, actually, you know what? I do want another one. People are like, see, I knew you would change your mind. Right. I told you. And I hate that condescending attitude, that nature where it's like you're saying, this is my life. This is what I want for my life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Let me do selfish. Sorry. Yeah. Well, I'm, if we end up being in the same position where we're one and done, we've got each other.
I'm so glad. Like, that really does make me feel comforted, because I have a lot of friends who are in the stage where they're on number 2 and our first kids are the same age. Or, yeah, I have other friends who are, they're planning on it and they're looking at me like, when's the next one coming? I'm like, we're so happy. For the first time in the last couple years, I'm feeling like myself. I'm feeling like an individual who can live like the life that I want to live.
Yeah.
And while having the family that I adore. And there's balance between my husband and I and with our kid. And so I don't know if I could just throw it in the blender again.
Yeah, because it is a lot. Like, I think there's this thing, especially which is why I don't understand about women who have this perception of like the annoyed at your one and done decision, where it's like we put our bodies through so many things. And I think it's easy to forget. Like when your kid is 10 and you're like looking at somebody like, why aren't you having another baby? It's like, well, because you can go through postpartum. I heard the other day, like from a doctor, that your postpartum hormones can still be fluctuating up to 7 years.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I saw that.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
So it's like, you're finding yourself again, both parts that you were before and new versions of yourself, and like your identity has changed. Everything in your life has changed. For better, and there's stuff that happens that are not so great. So like putting yourself through all of that again shouldn't be taken lightly.
Right.
That is a decision that should have some gravity to it.
Great.
And I mean, I have my own answer for this, but this was a question for me, a question that I wanted to ask you in general, which is, how are you balancing things like between your husband and your relationship, your family as a whole, working, because you went back to work pretty fast.
Yeah.
Right?
16 weeks. It took 4 months.
Yeah. I mean, that's still
it. I mean, look, if we're comparing our standards to Europe, that is way too quick.
Exactly.
And I'm like, wow, I wish I took a whole year off.
Yeah.
I wish I took at least 6 months. But yeah. So how am I balancing? I listened to Shonda Rhimes' commencement speech at Dartmouth and jury for her famous commencement speech. And she gets asked all the time, how do you balance things? And she said, the truth is there's no such thing. Like when you are succeeding in one area, you are inevitably failing in another thing. So when you're out killing it in your job, you're missing nighttime reading to your kids. Mm-hmm. You're missing a school recital if you're at your job, or if you're at the school recital, you're missing out on a work project. And I listened to that in the early days. Like I remember like rocking Sailor to sleep in her nursery, and I'm tired myself crying. And I'm listening to this podcast and I'm like, oh, like that's kind of crazy, because I'm kind of a workaholic and I couldn't wait to get back to work. I was so bored during maternity leave, and it's not a vacation. It is not a time of leisure and relaxation. It is hard work. It's like I was bored in a way because I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do.
Your hands are full.
Yeah, we are so active and so busy. And so I remember that. And then I just revisited that speech in her podcast conversation with Oprah recently. And I was reminded that, yeah, things are never going to be really in balance for me, or for a woman like me who's working and doing, the momming and family life. And to like, that remind me to give myself grace. So, there are a lot of times where I want to be home, or I want to catch Sailor's, winter production at school. But that means I'm not going out to like a big red carpet or getting a huge interview or doing anything further my career. So sometimes I'd have like that FOMO in me, and it's like, oh, I should be working right now. But then it's like, no, you're self-grace. Like you've done tons of things in the last decade that prove who you are and what you're capable of and what your worth is. And then there are times when I'm on a work trip or I'm at a red carpet and I'm literally sobbing because I'm not home doing the smallest things with my family. So yeah, I think nothing is truly ever in balance, but I do have to remind myself to give myself grace. Like I am privileged to be able to go and do the things that I love to do, my job, or have a fun hobby that takes me outside of the house. And I'm also privileged to have a supportive partner and a beautiful family that takes me inside of this entertainment world. It really grounds me and makes me feel so full and and I wouldn't trade that for anything. Yeah. Yeah. Do you feel like
That was really well said.
yeah, like things feel like it's maybe not unbalanced, but it feels like the juggling act gets a little bit more fine-tuned, or it gets a little not easier, but it gets
you a little bit more in sync.
yeah.
Or easier to monitor, like
Yeah.
tweak. Yeah. I think so. I in a way I feel bad because I ask people this question a lot. Actually, it's like, how do you balance? And then I mean, I get asked that I think a fair amount, but more recently, with having my business, I get asked that, and it's kind of like I am in the same boat where I don't think it really exists. And my answer to this question the other day was, I don't help.
Yeah, help.
Help is the answer. It's ultimately, like you're saying, a supportive partner. I have a supportive partner. He's an incredible, also full-time dad, but also full-time CMO. Like he's got his own full-time career as well. And it's like both of us help each other. It's the only way through. And seeking like, your village basically, and what that looks like for you, because ultimately, all of those things need to be in sync for it to work. And that's also not realistic. There's always going to be something that's, like you're saying, you're sacrificing or failing at, like it. And that is a hard thing for your mental health. I think just pressure on motherhood too. It's like certain expectations that are not met. You feel guilty about, like mom guilt. I don't know about you. Mom guilt is riddled with it. It is rough. Like it really is rough. But I think, I always go back to the sentiment of like, I need to make sure that I am in a place where Hendrix will look at me and know that like I am a happy person because I'm always trying my best to, to grow, to evolve, and I'm doing something that I love, and that he should be doing that and fighting that too. And if that's the sentiment that's like, I don't want him to look back at his childhood and be like, mom was so angry all the time.
Right.
And that's kind of my thing. It's like, you're not fulfilled in all areas of your life. Your kid notices.
Oh, absolutely. And that's what I love about this generation of moms that are being so open and honest with themselves and with what motherhood looks like, and people prioritizing their happiness and their mental health. Because back in the day, I don't believe our moms did that. Housing, it was an option. And, you see that they put a lot to the side, made so many sacrifices, took time away from their jobs, and they gave us great lives. But were they mentally, was their mental health strong? Were they happy? Did they have hobbies? That's something I ask my mom all the time, like weekly. Hey, what's your hobby? What are you doing? What are you doing to make you happy and feel fulfilled this week?
Yeah.
And how do the answer? She's like, oh, well, I like pickleball. I'm like, get out there then and get to the court. Like, do pickleball. That's your thing. And that's actually something my husband had to remind me of. Like, what's your hobby? What are you doing? And that really helps me out of my postpartum depression days. Yeah. Something to kind of get me excited.
How long do you feel like your postpartum depression lasted?
Like, yeah. Like I didn't start feeling like that weird and postpartum anxiety and those heavy, deep emotions left for probably, I think the year I felt like, okay, kind of, it's like lifting. Yeah, I'm feeling peace and normalcy again. Did you breastfeed?
Yeah, I did.
And did you enjoy it, or was it? It was really hard for me because Sailor had these sensitivities. So there were things that I would eat that would cause a rash or cause reflux or cause, diarrhea or constipation. And so then I was on a really restricted diet. I was like, I can't have dairy. I can't have gluten. I can't have sugar. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And so I'm like trying to produce the cleanest milk. And then I go back to work at 4 months, and then that changes your supply, right? You're pumping all the time. And I'm at work, but I have to be on set. And so therefore you can hear me pumping if I'm doing it while I'm working.
Right.
And then, I have like a longer commute to work. So it was such a hard thing for me.
Yeah.
And I bowed out at 6 months, and no one told me that postpartum anxiety and depression can be ignited by how you wean. from the breastfeeding process. And I essentially one day went cold turkey because she had such a bad reaction. I think I had a bite of cheese and she had such a bad reaction. And a lactation consultant, weirdly was like, okay, just keep her off the boob for the day and supplement formula or stuff that you got stored. And I did that, but me not having that connection with her and going cold turkey right away, whoa, it set me spiraling mentally, physically, emotionally. And then from that point on, I was not okay. Yeah. And I started the weaning process with her and then properly getting her off. And it's a weird thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's dissociating from the breastfeed, and hormones are running wild all over the place. Yeah. I really struggled with breastfeeding. He never properly latched, so we supplemented with formula. Had to. He was losing weight pretty early on. There was a natural way that I felt like I should be doing it, and our lactation nurse told me the opposite way, and he ended up never latching. And I'm not going to blame that on that solely, but I think that had a huge part of it. And anyway,
yeah,
3.5 months of absolutely torturing myself, not really realizing that a lot of that has to do with postpartum depression as well. And I think I finally also threw in the towel at 4 months. But it is that when that cloud lifts and you're like, oh, whoa, I was not myself. And I had the most supportive husband who, at the time, it was during COVID, we weren't going anywhere. But he didn't really realize, he knew it was making me sad, that it was okay, postpartum depression looks different on everybody. It can happen at different times, for different reasons. And I was kind of I really wanted to breastfeed because I wanted that connection with him. But I was also putting so much pressure on myself and making myself so upset that that combination was not healthy. He was so little. I was getting all the time with him that I could possibly want, but I was sad all the time. And that makes me sad, because when I look back at that period of that precious newborn stage that they tell you to just soak in,
right?
It's so difficult to do it at that stage, no matter if everything is going perfect or not. That those memories are mixed. But that's what it is. It's you don't realize how different stages change your hormones and your mindset and your emotions and everything that comes along with that. And then just in general, how difficult it is.
Right.
Pumping, I hated pumping with
so challenging
every someone.
And it's you feel it and feel so unnatural, the feeling, and it does not feel like the breastfeeding, which is kind of euphoric at times, where it's supposed to boost your oxytocin, whatever. Yeah. If it's a good experience, I don't know. It's different for so many people. And also, one thing I want to say about postpartum depression is that it's not just one thing. Before having a baby, I remember years ago, Chrissy Teigen talking about PPD. And my impression, because no one talked about it, was that she eat her baby? Or right, did she present her baby? Or what did that feel like? Yeah, I want to I'm the baby. Right. You don't really know what that means. And so I at first was in denial. It's I don't have to, because I don't want to do bad things. I don't hate my baby. I'm not sad that I'm in this position. I love being a mom and everything. And then, I would talk to people, I'm you have it. And then if I talk to my doctors, you don't have it. You check off the list, and it's you don't want to kill the baby. You don't want to do this. You did it. You don't want to kill yourself. You don't have it. And it's no, wait. But there's the gray area. Totally, there is that people say, oh, maybe you don't have it. And then you feel so alone on this island. You're so what do I have then?
Right. No one wants to validate. Is this just going to be my life now? Yeah.
Yeah. No one wants to validate your feelings. I'm can someone please tell me that it is normal that I don't feel like this? And you validate that I'm not okay. Right. Tell me I'm not okay and I will be okay.
But I think also, yes. And also I think we're so used to hearing the drastic version of things.
Yeah.
It's I did know somebody who did feel completely disconnected from her kid. But I think it was almost a year and a half where She didn't want to be around. It was an extreme case. And once that was lifted, she was like back to being herself again and loves being a mom. And now they've got 3 kids and whatever. But like, that was extremely difficult for her. And it was the extreme case. And that was so much stress and strain on everybody. That yeah, it's a complete cloud, but most of the time it doesn't look like that. I mean, most of the time it's the little small things that that I'm so sad and frustrated for you, like on your behalf, that was what happened to you, because I was talking to Hudson about it all the time. And I don't think I had like a super bad case, but it was like life changing when that cloud lifted.
Oh, yeah.
But other than him in that moment, I never really talked to anybody about that. Probably should have. But yes, also didn't have any feelings of like wanting to harm Hendrix. Or it was more like a sadness that I did feel. I think I was also mourning what I thought something would feel like, what I thought it would be like. So
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was just me being sad because I wasn't getting the experience I thought I was going to get, or if it was postpartum depression.
Right.
And I think it was kind of a mixture of both.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember explaining to my husband, I was like, I can't get a hold of my feelings. All I know is that anything can make me cry, even if it's like not a sad thing. I was at work one day and I was like happy and I was talking to my producer. I was like, hey, bye, what time is it? Like, it's 12 o'clock. I was like, it's only 12 o'clock. Just crying, like hysterically crying. She's like, are you? Yeah. I don't know. And then it would just be like that brain fog in this cloud. And I'm like, what is this? Why do I not feel like
Brain fog is a real thing, migraine, real thing. And yeah, you just don't feel like you. It's quite intense. But that also shifts.
Yeah,
that cloud lit. It does truly change. But all of the things that we were talking about are the reason why having another baby is daunting.
It's absolutely terrifying.
I know a girl who they were 2 and done.
Okay.
I hadn't gotten snipped, but they were 2 and done. And she was still breastfeeding, and so she hadn't gotten her period back yet. And I think she was like 6 months, maybe 7 months postpartum. Yeah, I think she was around there. And she started having like really bad gastro issues. And I think it was probably similar. She was like, I need to change my diet. Maybe with breastfeeding. And she could not figure it out. And naturally, like genetically very slender. And she was like, oh, I just can't get this like feeling. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. She would go to doctors. No, everything's fine. Everything's fine. She wants her gynecologist for a checkup. And, they make you take a pregnancy test. Turns out she was pregnant. She didn't realize. She just didn't put it together. She'd always had irregular periods, hadn't gotten it back yet. Like, didn't even think about it. Not only was she pregnant, she was 20 weeks. Oh, she was more than halfway there. Yeah, she was halfway there. And, there are cases like that where like that whole, like, well, haven't you know? And so there are women out there that legitimately don't know. And to go from like, no, 2 is it, we're, we've done something completely different with the 3rd bedroom to like, okay, well, now that we remodeled that 3rd bedroom, I guess it's now another baby room.
You're all sharing triple bunk beds.
Wild. And I think, to be fair, that's also a reason why we were like, we got used to it. We got to like
all the time trying to share horrors.
Right. Yeah, I just go
horror stories, but I'm like, accidents happen, man. They do. Don't let me does.
Don't want to be on that, statistic list. Anyways, so we're talking about like the balance between, or the attempt to balance between work and family life, but like, what is the reason that like keeps you going back to work? Like, what about your job is like the thing that you enjoy the most?
Oh man, I knew I wanted to be in entertainment since I was like probably my daughter's age, 3 years old. Love doing little performances for my family, taking my parents' camcorder and having my own little talk show in the living room. And in middle school was the same. I would do little journalist projects. In high school, did the newscast. College, did broadcast journalism. And also I had this thespian side where I was in school plays and terrible voice, so I never got solo parts, for the musical. But I just love performing, and I love also storytelling, and I love just being a surrogate for an audience, experiencing things, having fun conversations. So that has just been ingrained in me since forever. And so that was taken away from me. I would be a shell of myself. And I think that's why maternity leave was hard, because that was all on pause. And, I couldn't wait to get back to work because I genuinely love what I do. Yeah. So I just feel fulfilled when I get to do this. And, I think seeing my mom be a hard worker and seeing her mom be this hard worker and providing for the family, that's also a work ethic that is within my DNA. And so I don't know who or what I'd be without a job. Even if it was all taken away from me, I'd find something to do. I would start making my own blog content or whatever. And it's just fun to storytell. Yeah, I used to love like writing little stories and doing my own little docuseries. So yeah, it's just a part of who I am, storyteller. And yeah, and I really do feel like it's almost like a vacation when I get to drive into work. Like, oh, I get to, I leave my life, my family, everything at home, and then I get to go do something really fun that I really enjoy. It doesn't even really feel like work.
Yeah, I feel that. The reason I asked is because like I think it's also important to like talk about the fact that like I don't want to say worth it, but the thing that like keeps you going back to work and passionate about it has to also be worth leaving the house.
Right.
If it's like that drive is there, that's the reason. And set is my happy place.
Yeah.
It really truly is. I get that like oxytocin dump almost. That's my favorite place to be when I'm going to work. It's like it's worth it because I love my job. I love being there. And I'm so lucky to be able to like do what I love for a job. It's for my family to go back home and have that amazing lifestyle that like, even though it's difficult, it's not easy, it makes it feel worth it. And I'm thankful for that because obviously not everybody gets that experience. And that is something that like I never take for granted. Like it is like, what would I would feel, it's not for lack of loving my family, but you do feel like there's something missing when it's such a big passion of yours.
Yeah.
So
did you watch Night Bitch?
Not yet.
Okay, you gotta watch Night Bitch. And Amy Adams, it's like, it's essentially this conversation where she's taken away from doing the thing that I love all the others that I didn't do. Yeah. And she goes mad and she's like losing her mind at home being a stay-at-home mom because she is not built for that life. Like that's not what she wanted to do. And then she's like telling her husband, I think I should go back to work. And he says, yeah, but that just financially doesn't make sense. You should just stay home because then we'll be paying more for the child care. And she gets so peeved because it's like, that's not the point. Yeah, that's not the point at all. Like, even if we're losing money, like, I need to go back to have my own sense of self and support.
Right.
And yeah, I feel that, even if we're losing all of his money on child care, at least I'm a happy mother and she has an example of that. I get to come home and be my most happy, authentic self at home because I got to go fill my cup outside of you.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that also brings it back around to like the homeschooling aspect because my husband and I had very different experiences when it came to homeschool. I had a much better experience. He didn't. And so when we're considering what we want to do with Hendrix's schooling, homeschool is something that like is really high on our list, but I also don't want to sacrifice Hendrix's education because it's something that we feel like is not easier, but like, there are so many reasons why I think would be so beneficial for him. But I think the one pushback that a lot of people give on homeschooling or like the easy answer is to why to not homeschool is this idea that like they're not going to be socialized.
Like couldn't be further from the truth. I know so many people, social people,
it's my friends from other places. Yeah.
Exactly. Like outside extracurricular activities, like sports, dance, whatever. There's so many ways to make friends.
Yeah.
Just go to the park.
Right. And so, but in that, flip side is that like I would be deeply unhappy if I was the one that was trying to get, teach him or be responsible for his schooling. And I think that is something that's like, I know I'm not fit for that. Hudson's not fit for that, just based on like the same reasons, really. And I would never want to give Hendrix a bad education because we think that like it is better for whatever reason. Right. Like it has to be a great education.
Yeah.
And it's totally possible. And there are amazing programs out there, and it is something that is, that can be done.
It's cool to see how far homeschooling has come and how many alternative options there are.
Yeah.
I mean, just rally up your whole neighborhood if everyone rallies, and you can have a little neighborhood.
Yeah.
School.
Yeah. I would like that to be the case. And I think the reason is because I travel for work. At least when he's younger, we would get the opportunity to kind of move our family unit instead of being separated for like months at a time. That would make me also really sad.
Yeah.
But again, I don't want to sacrifice his education because, right. I want us to travel together. So I think it could also always change. We could homeschool for a little bit and then feel like, okay, we should shift into something else or vice versa.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is like just being able to kind of adapt to whatever is best.
And it's so cool how adaptable kids are.
They are. This is the period of time to do it too. I get it. Like going into junior high and high school and you got your core friends and you don't want to leave them. Like I get, with those things, or a sport or something that's like keeping you in one space, that like, this is the age to like, I remember something that my mom did because I would be working outside of California as well when I was a kid, would be, okay, we're going to Mexico City was a great example. I filmed something in Mexico City when I was give or take. And it was like, okay, well, our, world history, we're going to be studying Mexico. And we went and did a ton of like historic, basically did all the touristy things and did the like cool niche things in Mexico City for my age group, obviously.
Yeah.
And that was like my history lesson for the month, was like, how do we utilize everything that's around us to learn? And that's what I love. Like, that's what I want to show Hendrix is I feel like I got so much out of that way of learning. And again, that's a privilege. Not a lot of people get to learn that way, but like, if we're in that position, like I want him to have that. And we do travel a lot, and he's such a good little traveler. Like I just want to keep that up in him.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's just also about like throwing kids in that position. Like they are so adaptable. Like you're saying, it's like, it's kind of that like swim training where you're like,
it's gonna say sink or swim.
And I think kids are so good at seeing new cultures and learning, and they're like sponges at that age. Like, right, wow, you should do that.
And it clearly made such a difference in your life. I mean, you're an adult now, and you could look back on that time and remember those activities, and you're able to absorb it in a tangible way. Where I could not tell you what that'd be. I know I was maybe playing dodgeball.
Right? Yeah. So I guess that's the thing. What's your like earliest memory?
Earliest memory. This is really random and weird, but I remember falling off of this like little wall. I was about 3 years old,
right?
Which is weird to think that my daughter's 3 and she's forming those earliest memories. But I fell off this like little small wall that was in front of our house. And I still have a little scar from it. I like scraped my thumb, still have the scar. And yeah, I remember going inside and crying about it. And I remember a lot of things from that first house I grew up in until I was 30. And there are small memories here and there, but man, my earliest memory. Oh, the 94 earthquake. Were you here in LA?
I was not here yet.
I remember that night I was sleeping in my parents' bed. Dogs were going crazy before the earthquake even happened because no animals can sense it. All the neighborhood dogs were barking. I remember waking up and being like a blur. And then my parents, and then the earthquakes happened. I'm getting chills thinking about it. They yelled me and my brother up into the car. My mom was pregnant with my sister. She goes and grabs something in the kitchen, slips on glass because all of the things were like falling in the kitchen. She slips and falls. She's okay. Everything was fine. But then we get into the car and, the earth is shaking. And I learned how to snap in the car that night. I'm like, look what I can do. As the 94 earthquake is happening, which is the biggest earthquake we've had here in California.
They were, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why my earliest memories. I was 3 years old. That is so wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. My earliest memory. I don't know why this one's my earliest memory as far as like eventful things, but I was around 19 months old, which is
what
ridiculous. I think I was around 10 when I told my mom this. I was like, yeah, I remember back in South Africa, this particular slide thing that we had. And so it was like really like a daycare that I went to very briefly. But I remembered like the teacher and like this particular outfit on like photo day. And we don't like, she's never told me about it. It was one of those things where it was like, yeah, you never would have, that wasn't a memory that like was formed based on something that we told you. And then I have a lot of memories from France. My parents were dancers and they did a dance contract in Nice for a year. And I remember so much of that. And I turned 3 there. And like went to a French English school and like really distinct memories, like the girl that worked at the grocery store, the beach, like really, really vivid memories of that. But I think it's those like big things that happen in your life, when you're that little that you remember so well. And so I live in Hendricks at that age. And like, we just went over to Europe for a convention, which was super fun, and traveled afterwards. And it was just like, this is the age where I was here. And that is so wild. Like, hopefully some of those memories stick. But it's really cool to like experience that when you're a kid.
I think about that a lot right now in this stage where, like, wow, what will be with her for the rest of her life? These moments that we're creating right now.
Right. And hopefully like the good ones stick. So I think that's the thing too, is like when it comes to like falling.
I know I have a trauma. Like those crazy things.
There's like very distinct things that happen. I think I was 5 or 6. Now. I was 5. When 9/11 happened. And I remember that. Somebody called my parents. I was sleeping over with them too. Somebody called them like really early. It's probably around 6 in the morning. And they're like, turn the TV on. And my parents had a TV in their room and they turned it on. And we watched the second plane hit the tower and we thought it was a replay. And it was like, oh no, that was the thing.
Yeah. I remember that.
So clear. Yeah. And I was obviously processing that at that age was like,
right.
You don't understand. You understand the gravity of how scary that is, but you don't also really understand it. But like weird to think that like there were certain things that happened, like that earthquake, that are like very prominent things that happen in history that you experienced and remember.
Yeah, at that age.
And like Hendricks was too young to really understand COVID, but like certain things that happen that you just are unforgettable in your lifetime.
Yeah.
Weird when it happens to you that young that you retain that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean that everything about that morning like is vivid.
It's wild. Like I wonder, will Sailor remember these fires that happened?
Yeah. Were you guys okay?
We were okay. We had to evacuate for one of the fires. It was the Kenneth Valley fire. Oh yeah, because you were not too. That
we actually we weren't even here. We had to have people go grab some things. We ended up being totally fine.
Yeah, we ended up being fine, but we did evacuate, and there were a couple nights where we were bouncing around. We went to a relative's home, and we went to another town further away, and we had quite a few nights without power, and so one of the nights after, I think it was maybe 5 or 6 days away from home, we returned back to our house, and she asked us, "Are we going to sleep anywhere different tonight?" No, we're like back home. We're here, and we just have our luggages by the door for a while. So I wonder,
right as she might,
yeah. Because
Because I think they also like, they understand when we think. So like even just like you being on the phone talking to somebody, like there's certain like those things that like I remember my dad's phone call. Like I remember the conversation he had when that happened. So like there are certain things that probably will stay.
Yeah.
I mean that's okay.
Yeah.
It's just the significant time in your life was wild.
See.
Right? It's got there's a lot of like cool things about it's this age. And like I was saying, like Hendrix being 4, before we started recording this, I was like, oh my gosh, like he's just understanding so many more things. And it's like fun. And there are things that he's like pressure testing, like rules and boundaries for sure. But it's fun to see like certain things happen where like, oh, I like that when I was a kid and now I get to experience that. And that was really like fun little moments, like seeing things through his eyes. His older cousin loves Minecraft.
Oh.
And so we have an Xbox still from when we were playing before kids.
Great move.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And Hudson was like, he loves like fake controlling on the Xbox controller. And there's a setting on Minecraft where it's like your own private world, like you don't have access to anybody, and it's really just like building blocks.
Okay.
Which is super cool. And I was shocked that Hendrix like is using the remote properly. Like, he's moving and pushing other buttons at the same time. And like the fact that he can do that without ever really being taught what to do, he just sort of like figured it out that, I can do this and that. And like, building houses but it's so wild how quickly they pick things up. And it's something that the reason I mentioned is that's something that him and Hudson can do together, which is so cute. So they're like these 2 boys sitting on the couch. Like Hudson's favorite thing growing up was Legos.
Oh, wow.
And, obviously Minecraft was not around when he was growing up. But like it's the same thing as like Hendrix and him love playing Legos together. And now he has to like experience this. So they just like build these things together. And they're like, exploring lava caves and like things that are just so sweet that if you really sit down and think about it, you realize, I would experience that with my kid. But like in real time, it's like, this is the new chapter where like we're playing games together, right? The things that like aren't just like little SIG drawings anymore. They're like more story based and all the fun stuff. It's that.
On the surface, it sounds like, whatever, your kid is like, they're behind a video game. But really, it's this huge milestone where it's like, wow, they are a little mentally aware. They're a little more equipped. They're able to problem solve in different ways.
Yeah.
Like literally last week, Sailor started using scissors on her.
And that is theirs here.
But I didn't teach her how to do that. And she started doing it at her little Montessori school. And she was like, Mommy, look at this. And she was cutting the shapes. And then she put it in a little envelope and she like sealed the envelope and gave it to me. She was so excited to use scissors, and just seeing her hands have the ability to cut things and the focus and just the care she had. I was getting emotional holding her cut paper.
It sounds so silly, but it's so true. Like in the moment you're like, oh my gosh, she's not believe that my like kid that was like in my body is now outside of my body doing this thing. It is so weird and beautiful and wild. It is.
If anyone out there cried watching their child do things like cut paper for the first time, let me know. Please make me feel seen.
Even the like coloring inside the lines, even like little things like that. I'm like, he draws the cutest, most hilarious robots that are so expressive. And I'm like, that I want to get a tattoo of that. Like that is like, so freaking cool. I have one taped on our like bathroom mirror because it makes me laugh every time I look at it. But it's just cool. Like there are certain things about having kids that are just so cool.
It really is magical. And a human walks through this life knowing you are responsible for it.
Yeah. It's both terrifying and so great.
So scary.
Is Sailor more like you or more like Jocko?
She's a really good mix. Like she definitely has this performer side to her where she wants to express herself. She loves singing and dancing, and the singing and dancing abilities she gets from her dad. Like she's a little more what's it called? Like she has a little bit more coordination and her vocal range will be way better than mine. She got to her father. My husband, Joshua, has an insane voice. So good. And so they're always jamming, which is really cool. And she can, beat, she can play the drums on beat already. It's crazy. And so she's like a good mix of both of us. But she definitely likes to be outside. She's a FOMO girl like me, like wants to be out there and with her friends. And then she's kind of like Joshua, where it's like, okay, don't touch me now. Like, just, yeah, please, mom. I'm like trying to kiss her face and,
Yep.
do all that. And she's like, kind of heels out. He goes, like, yeah. Like, I need privacy right now. She told me she needs privacy right now. Okay. He's so cute. Yeah. Yeah, it's so cool to see. That's, I think, the other thing about having a kid is like, it's so cool to see like what comes through from like, it's like watching yourself, but then also watching your partner. It's like a mini version of like the two of you, for better or for worse. But like that's my stubborn nature. But oh yeah, it's so cool. I say that your stubbornness, Serena, and we're all watched her do things like, wow, you are so your grandparent. Oh yeah, I could see the traits from his parents, the traits from my parents, and that is a trip to me. It's like watching a little mini version of a parent. Also, for better. So yeah, I'm like, oh no, it's in her DNA. Well, that's the thing. I'm like, okay, I get my stubbornness from my dad, and so I was a product of that. Now Hendrix definitely has like, because that's not Hudson, that's me. And yeah, it is. It's wild. It's cool to put that together, and it's fun to see the things that she has had since birth. Yeah, like she came into the world 3 weeks early. We were not ready for it, but she was ready to do. She was determined to get out of the womb and pushed herself out in 6 hours time. Oh yeah, and I love that for you. And she's 67. I love that for me. And also, I'm like, I can't do it over again. It was so yeah. So, but she's still like that, very determined, and it has to be her way on her timing. Yeah, so it's consistent from the womb. You want that from a girl, though? Oh yes, you do want that from the girl. Yeah. I have to ask you a question about your interviewing side, just because I know everybody would want to hear it. What is your favorite celebrity that you've interviewed? Oh man, favorite celebrity. Aside from you, I mean, you're literally a door to gem about them all. Seriously, like the way that we were able to build a friendship from just doing interviews and now being here on the other side of it, like it's so special. Yeah, I appreciate it. Really. No, not that wasn't a real answer, Well, I have always said I love The Rock. I don't know if people are like, oh, lame answer. But like, he really is that guy. He's so nice. He remembers everyone's names. He just has a way of acknowledging the person asking him questions. And it just feels so, I don't know, it feels like he really cares about what they're talking to him. And from what I hear, when he's on set, everyone says he's such a professional and so kind. And he works so hard. Yeah. The fact that he's going back into wrestling right now. I'm a WWE girly. Hey, there you go. Love that for us. So he's just so cool. He's great. He's always a good time. I don't think I've seen a bad day on him yet. That's really cool. That's good to hear. It is so nice, like being in the industry. Like obviously there are people that are not what they project. It just is what it is. So it's nice when like you like somebody to then meet them in person and be like, oh, take it. Yeah. No, yeah, they say don't be your heroes, but some are absolutely wonderful. Some of them are great. Some of them are not. And at both sides. Oh, I don't say, yeah, I bet. You give offline about it. Exactly. Off the record, as they say. Well, thank you so much. I could literally talk to you for hours. Oh my God. Is there anything that you would like to, I don't know, chat about that we haven't yet? Catch me on the rundown. What do you say Friday? That's the TV. And if anyone wants to, find me on the golf course. Let me know. Hockey golf? At me. At Erin Lim Rhodes. Love golf. Big golf lily. Saved my life. I'm pretty sure. Love golf together. Wait, you golf? I golfed since I was 9. I used to be way better at it. Now I've been out of practice for a long time. But I want to get back into it. And Hudson loves to golf. Let's go. You're not going to golf. He likes a good time. He doesn't golf at all, but he's like, so you and I more probably be better than Joshua and I, but that's fine. I can grab 2 golf carts. It is all about a good vibe. If there's good music, good snacks, and good drinks, like totally good to go. I completely agree.
No, that's fun. I'm excited about that.
Thanks so much.
And a play date. We needed.
Yeah, that's what I do. My kids can play too. Yes, exactly.
Yes. Okay. Love that.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Schools. Anytime. Come back. Anytime.
I will. Sign though.